All right, cool. We're on. I don't know who we have in the chat just yet, but they can get caught up. I got your name on the screen. Welcome, everybody. We've been talking about doing this for a few weeks. We finally got Professor Miguel Benitez from Montgomery BJJ, another Tom DeBlas affiliate, joining us tonight. Let's see. What's up, James? How you doing, bud? Yeah, so thanks for joining us, man. We're super stoked to finally talk to you and
Yeah,
tag
thanks,
up
man.
and yeah. So let's get into it, man. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how you found BJJ and Tom and all that stuff.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm super excited to be doing this. Anytime I get a chance to talk, I take that opportunity.
Sure.
Um, and then when I found out, like you guys were doing it, and you're students of my good friend and teammate, Luke. I was like, yeah, of course. Like I'll do things for teammates or like affiliate schools much sooner than I'll do it for anyone else. Even if like money's involved, like I'll do it for free for someone I know over someone who's paying me.
Hey,
But
we appreciate it.
uh, you guys, plus what you guys are doing is kind of cool, which is like I always like talk shit about like there's a certain team in jujitsu that loves posting surveillance footage as like highlight reels, and I always like I was like talking shit to Luke. I was like who the fuck does that? Like you take like surveillance footage, you're like we're gonna post it as a highlight reel or talk shit over it. And then you guys were like, "Hey, you want to do my Twitch?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I do."
Yeah,
So like
no,
definitely, it's a
I
little
It's
hypocritical,
different.
but
It's
whatever.
different.
it is, and I will say we started doing that first, so dibs on that. But we all, like we used to clip stuff for Instagram, just like because Mike and I will get into like technical discussions and like actually describing shit. They're just like, hey, we did this cool stuff. Check it out. Come train.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
like,
it was fun.
nah, we'll break it down for you. We'll say what you did good, what you did bad, all that stuff. So it was always for the students.
And that's my thing too. It's like it needs to be for the students. For anyone listening, I'm going to preface this again. I already told you guys. My voice is shot. I'm a Giants fan. We just won by a point against the Titans. First time we started the season with a win, so I'm a little hoarse. But going into BJJ, this kind of leads into it. I still watch football. I love football. Football was my first love. I played it middle school, high school, and I started playing it in college until I had an injury, and the injury ended my football career. So I was still young and had a big body, and had some very little athletic ability, but enough brain damage to where I could do something else. So I got into jujitsu, and the way I got into it was pretty wild. I was recovering from back surgery, and I had to steal my own car because I wasn't allowed to drive because of like the medication, all types of stuff. So I like stole like my car keys one day. And my mom like hid them on like the top of the refrigerator because apparently I'm 6. So I just swiped them, and I drove like 2 blocks, and I saw Ricardo Almeida Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I had been watching. I think it was like season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter was going to premiere. So I was watching all the marathons of season 1 and season 2, and I was already like, man, like I can't play football anymore, but like I think I can get punched in the face. I Because what I couldn't do for football was the high impact, big space, high speed, and I was like, that's very different from a takedown. Hitting at full speed off of on like a kickoff. So I took my intro class 2 weeks after spine surgery, and then my doctor flipped out. So I went through the rehab. 18 months later, January 2007, I started at Ricardo Almeida Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and then the rest is from there. That's where I met Professor Tom, who was a brown belt at the time.
Ah, wow.
Professor Dante was a brown belt. Haz Ibrahim, who opened up the original Brunswick BJJ, which is now Gary Tonin Jiu Jitsu, was a purple belt when I started. So because of my size, those were kind of the guys I got thrown towards because they were all bigger heavyweights, and I just got my ass kicked for 16 years till this day.
Yeah.
It's very much big brother, little brother with those guys. So that's how I got into jiu-jitsu, and then I started coaching at Brunswick, and then I developed a very good relationship with Professor Tom from there because he was best friends with Coach Haas, who they've actually known each other since college. They were both on the track team over at Monmouth, and then they got into the sport of violence afterwards. So I became friendly with Tom, and then once Gary took over the school, Tom was kind of like, "Listen, like you're mine, you're under my wing, we're taking it from here," and that just kind of continued to snowball. And if you're curious about more about my origin story, tapping in with Professor Miguel, episode 1. You hear the sound quality is awful, but it gets better after the second or third episode. We fixed it.
Right on. Yeah, I was so I definitely wanted you to plug that while you're on here.
I'm gonna plug it, dude.
Please do. One thing that I was, really excited to talk to you about was, you were reffing at ADCC trials this year, which I think that was your first time doing it, right? There we go.
That's this right here,
dude. Yep. So is that the Damian Anderson Andrew Tackett match where they went off the mats? That clip was so awesome, and like just watching you scramble to follow these like just Tasmanian devils going at it while they went off the mat and like you kept it going and all that. Talk a little bit about that.
So, I definitely want to get into that.
Yeah.
But like I'm absolutely like shameless. Like I'll absolutely wear a t-shirt with my face on it. Just in case you didn't know I was the guy reffing that match. Like let me remind you like one more time.
That's sick.
It's terrible. But anyway, I gotta do what I gotta do, right?
Yeah.
So that match, like I could do a whole podcast on that match because there's so many factors that went into it. And the comments are the best. I love reading the comments because half the people reading it or half the people commenting will say like, that ref is fantastic. People call me the GOAT. And then the other half is like, you'll be convinced that I've never trained a day in my life and I'm borderline brain dead.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for the way it played out. And I've had a lot of back and forth with, Tom and Gordon and even Mo Jassim, who runs the ADCC. Because I want to make sure, was there something that I could have done? Did I do everything correctly? Because it was the way this happened. Let's go back to the beginning. November 2021. I get a text message from Tom DeBlas, Professor Tom. He goes, "Hey, I need you at ADCC next weekend." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. What do you need me to do?" I'm thinking sell t-shirts, take tickets, nothing important.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "I need you to ref." And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, why? Like that's, first of all, what I said was absolutely whatever you need. What I tell Tom and what's going through my head are always two very different things.
It's like a panic attack inducing moment, man.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, like these are ADCC trials. And at the time, those East Coast trials were the biggest trials to date. I think they had like 500 competitors at that time. It was huge.
And Tom was running that one, right? The East Coast one?
Tom runs the East Coast trials. So now it's like my professor wants me to rep his event. So if I mess it up, I'm messing up on all accounts. Like I'm just going to get killed from every single layer.
Yeah.
And and it doesn't help that we have like our teammates are not the nicest human beings in the world. So if I mess up, they're going to make sure that I know it too. And it's forever and ever.
Yeah.
You develop thick skin on this team, which you guys probably know because I'm sure your head instructor or one of your head instructors is he's brutal with it.
Yeah. Oh, they both are.
Yeah. Well, I love Mike. Mike's the man. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely, whatever you need. So what had happened was it was, just after everything had happened with that virus that was going around, and there was a situation with passports. So the official ADCC referees from Finland couldn't get in. And we're talking like it's a week before. They can't get the refs in. I don't think there's a venue. Sam McHale, shout out to Sam McHale. Sam McHale pulled some strings to get his connection so that they could have it at the showboat. So everything was kind of falling apart because of this virus. So we're able to get it through, and I just reffed my ass off. And I become very fixated on things. If I know I have to do something, I become very obsessive with it so I don't mess up. So I'm watching matches. I'm watching the rules seminar on YouTube. I'm watching that video. I probably saw that video like 15 times in that week, and it's like a 50-minute video. Like I'm at work when I should be doing work, and I have it on a screen, and I'm like, yeah, I'd have like my email set up, and I just minimize and go right back to the YouTube video. So I'm reffing as much as I can. I'm reffing every match. And the one thing that I really tried to do is keep the mindset of a competitor. Because, I wasn't a very successful competitor, but I did have a competition career. So I tried to just give the athletes information that I would have wanted when I was competing. So I see nothing wrong with saying, hey, 1 minute until points, 30 seconds till points. Because now, if you're giving them that information, for me as a fan, also, I feel like now you can start, strategizing a little bit better. You can start becoming a little more tactical. Or if I say, hey, there's a minute left, they're going to push the pace more because they're aware.
Right. Yeah.
And, if you guys have competed, you'll know that sometimes you can't hear your coach. You're right in the middle of a match, and the thoughts in your head are louder than anything else, but you'll hear the ref. So I'm trying to entertain myself as much as possible and get these guys a fight so that I can have something to watch. So I guess I did a good job, and I get a text message from Tom saying that Mo wants to invite me to do West Coast trials. So from the East Coast trials, they took a handful of guys, I think maybe like 6 or 8 refs from the East Coast trials, and we're like, hey, come to the West Coast trials, because now the West Coast trials became the biggest ADCC trials in history. Over 1,000 competitors. I think they capped it at like 1050 or something like that.
Damn.
So I'm excited because now I'm going to Vegas, but it's a business trip. Like I think I maybe went to one dinner while I was out there on the West Coast trial. I didn't visit the pool. My wife asked me, she goes, I don't know how you live your life like that. And I'm like, babe, like I'm not there for, fun and sun. I was there to do a job and not mess up. So I take it very, very seriously. So as luck would have it, we get there for the first day of trials, and one of the organizers is coming around at the refs meeting, referees and judges, and he goes, "Hey guys, so we have, I think it was like 8 mats going, and 2 of the mats only had 1 ref." So I said, "I'll take the mat with 1 ref." When opportunity arises, I'm like, there's an opportunity right there to just own my own mat. It's mine. Nobody's going to be there, and I could just, like, I'm here to work. Let's work. Plus, like, deep down, I kind of wanted to, like, ref Worlds, or at least get invited back. So I'm like, let me just put it on tape. That's always been my mindset. When I played middle school football, high school football, my ideology was, if I can put it on tape and put good tape out there, I can't be denied. Right. I never believed in coach doesn't like me, the politics. Bullshit. If you perform and you put it on tape and it's seen, you cannot be denied. So I never bought into that bullshit. People like, I just never got my break. Fuck that. Create your own break. Put it on tape. You want your coach to acknowledge you more? Go get some sweeps during live mats. Go get some submissions. Make the white belt better. Put it on fucking tape so it's seen and you can't be denied. It's not that hard. You make your own opportunities in this world. Moving on. So that's how I live my life. That's my rant. Sure. I hate when people complain. I never got a fair shake. Fuck off, dude. Nobody gets a fair shake. So I refed from 8:30 or 9 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. straight. Damn. I had three 20-minute breaks, and at one point, the promoter, one of the organizers, I should say, was like, "Hey man, do you need a break?" And I was like, "No, I'm good." I was willing to just suffer for a day. Like, the matches have to end eventually. Let me suffer. I came here to fucking ref, right? What am I going to do? Walk around, play the slots? Like, no, like, I'm here to ref. Let's go.
Yeah.
So my match with Damien and Tackett gets a lot of attention, but about an hour before that, I had Maggie Grindotti, and I forget who else it was, in a match. And their match went from my mat all the way to the center mat because of a takedown. And it was a very similar situation, but no one talks about that. Everyone just talks about Damien and Tackett because they ended up on the carpet.
Off the mat.
Now, off the mat. Now, before people even talk about that, I always tell people, go back and look at I believe it was the 2018 or 2019 East Coast Trials, Garrett Lavaggi versus Jay-Z Cavalcante. That match literally ended. It went onto the basketball court, and they kept fighting. Position, because I think Garrett had either a rear naked choke or a triangle, but the position kept going on a fucking high school basketball court. So before people talk about what I did, look it up. The history's there. Now, one of the things I also did is before every match, because it's the trials, these guys, they're not all pros, but I always tell the guys, like, look, here's how I'm running my mat. This is ADCC. There's no out of bounds. Keep going until I say stop. But when I say stop, stop. Don't move your hand. Don't advance position. Stay there. And I'd ask them, you understand the rules? You got it? I treated it like a ref. I treated it like a professional. All right. I wasn't trying to like, be a badass. It's like, this is a big opportunity for people. I don't want to be the one that fucks it up because I'm an amateur. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So,
Yeah.
So now enter the Damian and Andrew match. And that match is 100% why I'm getting invited back for the Worlds.
Well, you handled it
100%.
well. You handled it exactly how they wanted to see it.
I've watched that match. I've watched that clip probably 1,000 times just to see if I could have done something different. And I'm telling you right now, I couldn't. There's nothing I could have done. And here's why. With ADCC, people need to understand that the rules for points are very different. Okay, so it's not points all the time. Points are only for half of the round. Or if you go into overtime, points go in right away. That's rule number one that people need to remember when looking at that Tackett and Damian match. Number two, there is no out of bounds. Out of bounds cannot stop the play unless the position is established or it's a position that can be reset without jeopardizing the advancement or the loss of the position for one of the competitors. You don't reset it.
Mm-hmm.
So take those into effect. Now, the Damian Anderson Andrew Tackett match, when that happened, was in overtime. Points were in. All right, I can't remember if it was. I'm pretty sure it was overtime, but points were in. I couldn't reset it because those two animals didn't stop moving.
Right.
So every time, and if you watch the clip, there's a couple times where I go to touch, but then Damian throws in the hook. So now I can't reset this position when Damian has one hook in, but he's not controlled in the side ride. He's got one hook in, and he's falling off. I can't reset that position.
Ball movement. It's still a scramble, right? Like you're still scrambling at that time.
Here's the thing. They're still moving at that time. I sit very like crisscross applesauce, so I move around a lot. Very squirmy. So let's say I reset them. Number one, now I'm either giving Damian the opportunity to sit back and lock the position better. Or I reset them with Damian falling off, and I say go, and now Andrew explodes out of it, position's gone. Because you can't recreate a position that's happening in movement. You can't do that. And anybody who listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, Mo and Gordon explained that. You can't reset. They talked about Paul Harris ripping. You can't reset something that's in motion.
I was just thinking that is when you were talking the fight where they started them back in the middle with Paul Harris having the heel hook. Ref said go, and he just broke the guy's knee.
Fully locked.
Yeah.
Fully locked.
Yeah.
You can't reset that. So I really did try to do a good job of preventing people from going out of bounds. And if you watch some of my matches, I wouldn't stop them, but you'll hear me saying work to the middle, work to the middle. Mm-hmm. So now if someone's locked in a position, you just start kind of adjusting. Otherwise, I'm going to stop you, and now you're risking losing the position because of explosive movements. Damian gets a single. I go around to the far side so that if he starts running, he ends up on top of me. I can hold him and reset the position. Andrew Tackett created that whole situation because instead of just sprawling out or fighting where he was supposed to go, when his knee line cleared, he cut an angle and went towards the table. So instead of going straight, he cut left. So now I'm out of position. Damian doesn't let go. He grabs the hips. Now, if they just run out, stop, reset.
Right.
If they don't. Andrew falls to his knees. Damian gets side ride. There's 20 million people sitting there. I'm not going to stop the action. Fuck off. They're here to fight. There's only supposed to be one coach on the corner. Every team by that point had their whole squad. So Daisy Fresh had like 6 guys. The whole B team was on one corner. When 10th Planet guys were up, Eddie had all his guys, and it's like, what am I gonna do? Tell these guys to get out of here like that?
Right.
I could tell Eddie Bravo. Towards the end, I did, because it was getting frustrating. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. You don't want to see that on your watch.
Yeah.
But I couldn't reset them. So finally, when they got to a scramble where position held for like 2 seconds, I reset them. All right. Now, what people don't know is while that's going on, Mo Jassim runs, and I see him. And I hear from like can you have peripheral hearing? For my peripheral hearing, I hear, don't stop them.
Yep.
Don't stop, because again, this is only my second time reffing, and this is a big opportunity for Mo as well, because ADCC is about to go big time at this point. You don't want something like a shitty reset,
right,
to cause this controversy for a match that was going. So that moment became quite a moment, especially because I believe the winner of that match went to the semis. That was a quarterfinal match, and it was a super close match. People forget that we gave them both the opportunity to do, I shouldn't say we, but like Mo and the judges gave them the opportunity to go into a second overtime. And they both said no. They both said, no, we want the decision. So right away I was like, ooh, shit. Like if that was me tactically and I heard the one guy say, I don't want to go into a second overtime,
like, let's do
I would
it.
have been like, give me the second overtime.
Yeah.
Like, let's fucking go. He's done.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked with that. So, we convened and we, decided that Damien was the winner. For the sole purpose that if you look at all the exchanges, even though Andrew was very aggressive, fought out of positions, a lot of the positions that he did end up in, if you keep going backwards, the initiation started by Damien.
Sure.
And in ADCC, if you roll, sweep, roll, get on top, back to a sweep, submission, fight out of submission, okay, well, you have to go back to who initiated that movement. Mm-hmm. That's who the point goes to, because ADCC is all about advancing. So you could be 10 moves in. Well, who started it? Who initiated that?
Mm-hmm.
So it went to Damien for that fact.
Right on, man.
But I will say this. It wasn't until I saw this picture by Brian Woods, I didn't realize how many people were there.
Yeah.
When I saw that picture the next day, I was like, oh, shit, that's a lot of people.
I don't know if I've seen that. I don't know if I've seen that angle. That's if I were you, I absolutely 100% would have put it on a shirt as well.
That's a badass shirt.
It is, yeah.
Dude, so
are you selling those at your school, like on your merch website or anything?
I should.
Yeah, you should.
No, if you want it, reach out to Alva Fitness. Jason Saran, he's one of.
We just partnered with him at the school. Yeah, they're doing our stuff. Oh, I know you were the man behind the curtain. Yeah.
No, but he's fantastic, and what I love about Jason, he's a teammate. He's one of Gary's students. And the whole thing with the Alva Fitness is he started as like a college project. It was something that he was doing as a research report for like the quarter or the semester or whatever. And he said, you know what, let's just keep rocking with this and see what happens. Fast forward, 6, 7, 8 years, and he's getting NIL deals with Rutgers players, and I think he's developing some of the apparel for some of their sports teams. I think the volleyball team and the basketball team are going to be rocking Alva Fitness.
That's awesome.
But Alva Fitness put together this shirt. I have a T-shirt and I have a hoodie. They sent it to me, and yeah, check them out.
That's ALVA.
ALVA. Look at this shirt. Look at that.
That's sick, man.
All jokes aside, super comfortable shirt. So I don't mind wearing a shirt with my face on it. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. It's your brand, dude. You got to rep it.
Yeah,
that's right.
One thing I realized before, like when we were setting this all up, correct me if I'm wrong, Gordon Ryan started training with you, right? He came into your school first. That was where he got his start with jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so Gordon started with Brunswick BJJ when he was 14 years old.
Okay.
And he was 14, and I was running the teens classes. And then as he got older, I was taking over the adult classes as Coach Haas's and Professor Haas's career started to take off.
Gotcha.
Took him away from the school a little bit more. So I was, a one-stripe blue belt. And I was really doing a lot more than I probably should have been doing as a one-stripe blue belt. But I spent a lot of time with those teens. And I remember we did a Grappler's Quest. It was actually Gordon's first tournament. We did a Grappler's Quest, and the team rankings came out. And first place went to Team Henzo Gracie. Okay, makes sense. Second place went to Team Lloyd Irvin. Okay, makes sense. Third place in the teens category went to Brunswick BJJ. So for me as a young coach, that made me feel like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right with these guys.
That's huge.
And Gordon and Nicky Ryan will tell you. I remember when I was coaching, when I was reffing, I would say certain things, and Nicky would start cracking up, and I'd look at him, I'd be like, just like old times, buddy. Because when he was 8 years old and Gordon was like 14, I would have them do ADCC rounds in the teens class. I'd be like, yo, 5-minute round, 2.5 no points, 2.5 with points. And we would do a circle, and I'd call out matches, and, I would just talk shit and tell these guys, like, if you can't step up and perform on a Saturday in a strip mall, how can any of you expect to perform when it matters and there's people coaching against you and watching you?
Right.
So I think I'm partially responsible for the creation of the king, but
I mean, more than partial, like at least 51%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a majority ownership there.
The lion's share.
I'll take 51% of 1%.
There you go.
So that kid was going somewhere.
How cool is it to see, you know, the kid that you started training early on, now going into, you know, like filling the shoes of, like, you know, best to ever do it, right? No-gi, goat, all this stuff. Like, to see that trajectory from literally day one to now, and you could possibly be reffing in one of his matches at ADCC.
It makes me feel like I should have prioritized my life a little bit better. Maybe I could have become the best. No, all jokes aside, it's incredible. It really is. And I tell him this probably at least once a month. You know, I'll text him like, I know you've heard it a bunch. I was like, but I'm just so proud of you. My relationship with Gordon is very different because, you know, and even with his brother, and, you know, they have their own thing, but it's different for me. And I've told him this because I've known them since they were kids. You know, I remember, you know, talking to his mom and hanging out with his dad, and they've known me since I was a kid. I was 22, 23 years old when they first met me. And, you know, to be part of that journey, and, you know, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but when Gordon was about 15 years old, it was one of those post-training session, you know, conversations where everyone's like sweaty and kind of hanging out, and you're talking about, you know, your philosophies on life after trying to choke each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was myself and Don Odgers, who's now a black belt under Gary, and Gordon. And I remember talking to Gordon because we had spent a lot of time. He trained every day, took all the classes, was always there. And, you know, I locked up the school, so I was always there late with him. We spent a lot of time together. And I asked him, I was like, what are you trying to accomplish with this sport? Like, in all seriousness. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, look at me. I'm not going to judge your answer, but I really want to know, what are you trying to accomplish? And it was one of those moments where maybe I'm glamorizing it in my memory, but the way I remember it, it was one of those moments where if you made a movie, it has to be in it, because he looked up from his, like, he was sitting, I'll never forget this, crisscross applesauce style. You can't say Indian style anymore. He was sitting crisscross applesauce on the mat, and there was a pool of sweat, his abs, no shirt. And he just looked up and he said, I want to be the fucking best that ever did it. And he said it with such conviction where I was like, I don't think this kid's fucking joking. Like, I think that's his literal goal. And he looked me right in the eye, and I looked at him back, and I was like, and I think you can be. And I remember what I told him. I was like, but be ready, because you're going to sacrifice your entire life to accomplish that. I was like, you're not going to have the relationships other people have. You're going to be poor for a while. You're not going to get to do the fun stuff that everyone else is doing. But if you sacrifice all that for a brief amount of time when it doesn't matter, you can spend the rest of your life telling people that you were the best that ever fucking did it. But it's going to end up on you. I was like, and the easiest way to ruin that is to get caught up in doing what everyone else is trying to do. He was only 15 years old. So, you know, it's very easy to think that when you're 15 and then, you know, 18, everyone's in college, 21s, everyone's at bars. And he made an adult decision at, you know, 16, 17 years old that he wanted to pursue this full time. So it's been a whirlwind. My wife has a hard time. Like, every time she sees him on TV, she goes, I can't believe that's fucking Gordon. Because that first tournament Gordon won, I brought my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. We had been dating for like a month. And I was like, yeah, let me show you what I do on the weekends. I teach 14-year-olds how to murder each other. And Gordon almost paralyzed the kid that night. So that was, I thought for sure I was going to jail. But
they signed the waiver.
Yeah, they signed the waiver. But yeah, Gordon actually caught the garter at my wedding. Yeah, so that, he was only 17 at the time, and the girl that caught it was a full-grown woman, and Gordon was just, it was bad. The MC gave horrible instructions, and Gordon took it way too serious. And
I mean, I would expect nothing less. He's going to be the best to ever catch a garter too. So
that's it. It was actually him and Gary right in the middle. And after Gordon,
probably a good thing Gary didn't catch it.
Oh God, probably would have been better for the girl if Gordon caught it or if Gary caught it. But yeah, it's actually on video. Like, after Gordon catches it, Gary like gets an underhook and like outside trips him. Just like, girl kick throws him. So all of our guests are looking like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Who are these savages?
Yeah, I'm like that. Those are my jiu-jitsu friends. But
That's a
it was
rad,
great
man.
time.
That's awesome.
Well, cool, man. So, one more time, what's the name of your podcast? Where can everybody listen to it? When does it come
So
out? All that stuff.
it's tapping in, TAPPINGIN, because the whole concept was kind of like in jiu-jitsu, the goal is to tap people out. But before you can tap anyone out, the first thing you have to do is you have to tap in. You have to tap in physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically. You have to tap into everything that's going on to the mats, tap into what's being taught in class, tap into the fact that you have to get into your car, drive somewhere that's not going to be comfortable while you're training jiu-jitsu, and walk through those doors. So once you can tap in, you can start working on getting tap outs.
Rad.
And it's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you can find it. And we typically release one episode a week. The release date varies depending on how my schedule goes, but I think we released an episode on Tuesday last week, and as soon as I'm done with you guys, I'm going to drop the newest episode and try to get one in with Roy before I leave for ADCC.
Awesome.
Sick,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, you want to get into some footage?
Let's
Let's make fun of Luke for a bit. All that good stuff. I'm gonna set up the view here. Give me 1 second. Everything got all screwed up from
COVID.
last time we set. Yeah, definitely playing that. Yeah, cool. I'll make you small. All right, great. Let's get some music playing too. You guys won't hear it, but the stream will. Footage.
Here's what I'm using.
Oh, it's royalty free stuff that won't get me kicked off YouTube.
Fantastic.
So cool.
So
We've
at the
got
bottom, we got Steven and Danny in the black rash guards. At the
And
top
then-
right, we've got Cole and
Caleb.
Caleb.
Ooh, like that.
And then so Cole here, and then Steven and Danny are training for a comp soon. So like we've recently switched up to 4-minute rounds in the lead up to this competition, and we normally do. I don't know about you guys. We normally do like 6-minute rounds, and everybody just wants to murder everybody now. Like something about 6 minutes or something about 4 minutes just like drove up the intensity on everyone.
It's quicker. It's quicker. That's really what it comes down to. So, that's one of the things that I like, why I like pass protect as a drill, because anyone who's coming in is coming in gun-ho, and they're attacking, trying to pass your guard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in there, it's 8 minutes, but it's 8 very intense minutes. Ooh, that was a nice little sweep right there. So who's that on the bottom? See, and that's a very common thing. When we start grabbing heads, right? We start controlling the head right there. So he's controlling the head, and the idea is, well, if I control his head, he can't bridge, and that's absolutely correct. Problem is, his hips are right on top of his hips.
Mm-hmm.
So now he doesn't have to use his head or shoulders to turn over. He just has to rotate his hips, which is what he does.
Yeah, so it turned into.
Bang. And they both did it. It was like they both did it. Each one, like, let go and just frame out. Get your arms out in base. Get the position. Beautiful. I like this, fighting for the underhook.
Yep.
Covers the guard.
Yeah. So Danny
Beautiful.
Danny, the one working the omoplata,
Oh.
he's a Darce monster, and actually reverse triangles from bottom side control. He hits unlike anybody else I've ever known to do jiu-jitsu. And then Steven is just like an ankle breaker, a knee popper.
Is he trying to set up a twister right now?
He might be. He's got like the.
He's definitely trying for it.
Mm-hmm. He's got the calf slicer too available.
Yep. Calf slicers are shitty, man. When they get caught, it's like, fuck.
Yeah, they're just slept on too much. Like you forget you forget that it's a problem, and all of a sudden it's getting busted.
See, now they're trying to slow it down and establish position, and you're seeing a much more technical game now, which is better.
Yeah.
So right there, one of the things that I like to do, because that happens all the time when you're trying to pass, right? And the person's leg gets in the way. he's got great control on the hip right there. Man, just if you bring that far hand over and block the hip, now you can pass. And worst case scenario, continue the motion all the way to north-south. And now you have either side to go back to for a side control, or you can start picking elbows and attacking right from there. And at the very least, you just drop your nuts right in their face. Like, I'm a big fan of the north-south position.
So you're saying bring this arm, like Steven's right arm, to
bring
Danny's
that inside arm
right
over
hip.
to block the hip, and now there's no follow.
Right.
Because now he's trying to fight his hands, but if those hands are stiff-armed, it's going to get hard to get through them unless you can sprawl out and really fight it. But I'd rather just block the hip. So shoulder crunch right there. You guys have a gorgeous academy. Absolutely beautiful.
Thanks, man.
Ooh, I see the knee on belly on top. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Caleb's... He's a big dude.
Knee on belly. The knee on belly position is a great equalizer. There we go. He's getting the arm extended, looking for that arm. There, perfect. See what he did? He went right to the north-south position. He knew that he was losing that position. There was, boom, right to north-south. Why even fight? Just go to that north-south and keep your chest heavy. He does it excellent. Perfect job up there. I'm also biased. I like the north-south, so when people go there, I'm like, yeah, of course, that's what you should do.
I've been working north-south a lot more lately. Like, it's...
Watch right there. He felt the knee coming through, transitioned right to the north-south position. And now, when you're the guy on bottom, fuck, man. Like, now it's even worse. And then he transitioned to side control on the far side. And he's getting that hand on the hip, starting to turn him over to expose the back, get a wedge in there. That's a shit round to be on bottom of. Damn, that guy, he knows what he's doing on top, that's for sure. What's his name? Caleb?
Caleb, yeah.
Jesus. Sorry, you're saying what you've been working on more north-south now.
Yeah, well, Mike and I were just talking about this. There was a no-gi, like, north-south Ezekiel grip that I just, like, rediscovered and haven't done it forever and started work, and it, like, just completely opened up the position to me as a submission position now, not just you know, avoiding the, you know, the regard or something like that, you know, like it just got immediately more offensive for me once I rediscovered that.
How long have you been training now? Around 4 or 5 years?
With Luke, it's been like 5.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say
6 years maybe.
What you said was there's a position that I got away from and now I'm coming back to it. It's typically right around that 5-year mark.
Yeah.
You'll notice like, it's almost like every 5 years you find yourself going back to a position that you used to do.
Yep.
Tom says it all the time. He goes, I forget more positions than most people know because you've seen it so much. You know, you spend so much time doing it, and then, you know, you're like, oh, from 2017 and 2019, this was my whole game, man.
Yeah.
Then it's, you know, it's 2030 and you're the old guy who can't do anything.
Yeah. Can barely get out of bed.
Oh, dude.
So now we got Mike here going with Steven.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I like how Steven started moving those legs and they immediately clamped them down and just went for the sweep right there.
We've
Mike's
really
in red?
Yeah, Mike's in red. We've really spent a lot of time, especially when we're going over closed guard, drilling the standing guard break, and then we've, you know, once like Gordon and Danaher's instructionals came out, and we could like just study and rip that stuff off. The working the standing guard break, being double ankle swept, all that stuff, turned everybody into like leg lock monsters. Cause it's like, go ahead, sweep me. I'm gonna enter cross ashi and break your knee now, and like. You'll probably see that at least once every open mat, you know, one of the students doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard for people to say that those guys haven't impacted the sport when literally you can just watch any open mat, any who's number one, any event, and be like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You know, a perfect example was, you know, the Hillbilly Hammer himself against J-Rod. Literally just smothered J-Rod.
Such a great match.
Oh yeah, so dominant. So,
yeah, and
it would have been great. Would have been great to see those guys go at the trials, but
yeah, and that Jacob Couch and J-Rod happened after Gordon and Jacob, right? After
Yes.
like Gordon basically tapped him to a lot of heavy pressure.
That's nice.
Let's see, I missed that one. A little outside heel hook.
It was inside.
Oh, that was inside, yeah.
That's good. So open that setup. Got it ready to
He
turn
gets me back here shortly.
Steven's had 2 really good rear naked strangles on you in the last like 2 weeks, right?
And now he gets me with this bullshit. Yeah. So I've been working body lock passing like a lot lately. Not successfully, but working it.
Mhm.
And so now I'm getting into this like scrambling type scenario, and I felt like I had the upper hand. And then he hits me with this no arm fucking triangle.
His own arm in.
Yeah, his own arm. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
No arm triangle.
That's like some YouTube shit right there.
I'm sitting here. You probably will be able to see my hand. Yep. Steven's like watching my hand intently.
About the Brazil tap.
I was like, I'm good. Nope.
Why do you look so different on surveillance? I just realized that that's you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Not Mike. That wasn't other coach Mike. That was Mike here in the corner.
Yeah.
You look so different. Like on camera, you look like a chill bro, but then on surveillance, like you look like a Marine.
He was told last week or on Wednesday.
Luke scratching his nuts. What a disgusting human being.
Then he's about to dap somebody up.
Scratching his balls, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Oh God, I itchy balls.
Yeah, last week I was a biker, right?
Yeah, you were a biker gang last week. Mike was told.
Yeah. That's amazing. Here you go.
And then I'm the smallest one on the mat, going with the biggest one on the mat up here with Caleb.
Let me tell you something. People sleep on Luke. He is so tough. He's one of those guys that he's a lot more technical than people give him credit for, but his resiliency is, like nothing you'll see out there. He'll just, when he says he's ready to go, like he's ready to fucking go. I've had some wars with Luke.
For a bigger dude, he trains as long as or longer than any small frenetic kid with a bunch of energy. Like he's pretty much doesn't stop until everybody else says they're done.
That's that Tom DeBlass jiu-jitsu right there, man.
Yeah.
Tom was always big on telling us, if you're a little guy, you better be able to hold down the big guy. If you're the big guy, you better be able to move like the fucking little guy. Nobody should ever complain about being tired.
Yep.
So it was just the way it was. But see how Luke keeps his head constantly on the chest. So no matter where you go, he's just right on you the whole time. He literally attaches himself to you, which is signs of a black belt right there.
I always tell our new white belts, like the biggest difference that you'll feel between a white belt and a black belt is the amount of space and the pressure. It's like you can do a Kimura as a blue belt, or rather a blue belt can do a Kimura on you and a black belt can do it, and you feel in danger 100% of the time with the black belt. Fucking Steven. With a blue belt, you feel like you can escape here and there. Like it's the control, it's the space, it's the constriction that really differentiates higher belts.
Yeah, and that's 100% true. And part of that is also because you understand what the next movement to come is going to be. Mm-hmm. So you can almost be there before they go there.
Right.
Which allows you to stay tight. A lot of times space is created because you're reacting to their movement. But if you can be proactive and go where they're supposed to go, well, now they have no room at all because you're already there. Look at this, going to that knee on belly. What a savage.
Yeah.
His spine. Look how he follows that right to the double hooks, the double unders. He's got both hooks in.
He gets this
behind the pillar.
Yeah.
Right,
But he strangles right there.
Where did I catch Caleb in? I think I just got armbar. Okay.
Oh. Right over the hip. Nice.
Yeah. I'm not gonna waste time. I'm about to get smashed on my neck with Caleb, so I'm gonna break his arm as best I can.
Rule number 1: don't put your hands on the fucking mat. That's exactly what he did, so you had to pay for it. But you were gentle with it. You didn't break it. You were nice. You control.
Never do that.
Because people don't realize like, you can train really hard in jiu-jitsu and not hurt someone.
Yeah.
You know, typically when people get hurt, they hurt themselves. Like anytime I've gotten hurt, it was almost 100% my fault.
Yeah. Caleb is shoving me off.
It's just like
Jesus, that's a big boy on top of you.
Yeah, he's about 125 pounds heavier than me.
Luke's doing a great job controlling that outside ankle so you can't spin away. Just, ugh. You know, it's one of those things that Gordon talks about, or he talked about on the Rogan podcast, where his game isn't movement based. It's based on the negation of movement and making people less athletic.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that you'll see with if you're a big guy going with a smaller guy. Sometimes half the game is just stopping them from moving, and not by just putting your fucking belly in their face, but by actually utilizing jiu-jitsu and using preventative motions and preventative acts.
Yeah.
Right over.
I think yesterday, I just want to point this out. I was talking, I think, with Cole and Caleb and maybe a few others about dealing with knee on belly, and like I said, you can handle knee on belly long enough to where you can trap their ankle. So like I said, Caleb's way bigger than me. I welcome his knee on belly because I know that I can trap the ankle, and then eventually, hopefully, get out to the side, start wrestling up or working from a different position. But like, I don't care when people put me on knee on belly because I can work the ankle trap almost immediately. So it's it's not a spot to like sit and flounder. Like you definitely have to act.
Go back to that again. Can I see what you did when you had the knee on belly on top of you?
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure I saw what I think I saw, but I want to make sure before I give you a compliment. Knee on belly. Oof. Yep. Keep going. Beautiful. So right there, he just brought his knee a little bit too low. But what you did, which is the right thing, is you put your frames on him, and then you actually moved your body away. The biggest mistake when people have knee on belly, right, is everyone starts doing this.
Right.
They all start trying to shove that knee away, or you start trying to shove that knee in between your legs. Problem is, as you start doing that, now your arms can very easily get exposed because you're creating that space.
Absolutely.
You want to kind of keep everything here, and instead of bringing your hands to the knee, bring your body to the knee. So now I can just kind of frame and shrimp my ass out of the way, which is going to allow me to get that first hook in. And if I can get low enough, I can lock up a single and start coming up to my knees, or at the very least, start coming up for a half guard. But the biggest mistake is reach. Never ever reach. Tom calls it the 6-inch rule.
Yeah.
You never want your hands or your elbows getting 6 inches away from your body.
Yep. Yeah, he mentioned that at the seminar he taught a couple months ago when he came and visited us.
Yeah, the 6-inch rule it's true. He said that to one of our guys, Max Greenberg, who cross trains, goes to Tom's as well. They're like backstage at Men of War, and he tells Max, "Remember Max, 6-inch rule, 6-inch rule." So like I walk up right behind him, I was like, "Exactly, Max, 6-inch rule. Tell him it's 8." And I like waked up. He's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Stay loose, dude. It's just around." And then he went out there and got triangle choked like an asshole. But it happens. What are you gonna do?
It happens to the best of us.
He ignored the 6-inch rule. He just fucking.
That's right.
We'll get back in there. Ooh, this looks like. Oh my
So we
god.
got Cole and Steven
South?
now. Oh, I'm going over that no-gi Ezekiel grip that I was just talking about. I'm going over that with Caleb right here, showing him how to do it.
You're like punching one under and then swing through.
Yeah. So basically, getting your arm, the cross-facing arm underneath, putting the blade of your hand into the throat underneath the jaw, and then gripping here, and just kind of using the I guess it would be similar. I mean, it's pretty much an Ezekiel strangle, but it's north-south. So I don't think it's worth calling. Yeah, you can see my hands doing it there, like the way I'm setting up the grip.
I'm gonna mess around with that and not
give you
any credit when I hit it.
It's called the Jameson strangle, so you have to.
I do a one-armed collar choke in the gi that I call the Puerto Rican necktie.
A one-arm collar. Nice.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal. Like when it comes in, I keep telling my guys, if you hit this in competition, I'll give you $100. But they don't wear the gi, so I think I'm pretty safe with that $100.
Yeah. Put that in the bank. Grow some interest on it while you wait. Caleb's
in the green.
This is Cole going with Steven. Cole's a monster. He's huge.
Jacked as shit.
He is. And
there we go. Fuck him. Grab the leg. Ooh.
Yeah, that was good.
Ah!
Yeah, he got in on the outside there.
That was nice. Got it.
Aiden's joining us in the chat. Good to see you back, man. Hope you've been doing well. He says, can't help but notice the videos ever since you've been gone have been lacking in the Peruvian department. That's because we only like to hit Peruvian neckties on you, man.
Those Peruvian neckties are
So
Big and tight fat.
Aiden, you know, he's I think he's one of our white belts. He's in college right now. You know, really good. Took to the sport really well, and fell in love with the Peruvian necktie for some reason. And
it's fancy.
it is, and you don't see it too frequently.
No,
But he tried hitting it on me. Then he tried to hit it on some purple belts, and he tried to hit it on some blue belts. Finally hit it on a white belt. Like, all right, good job,
Pause it
buddy.
here.
Is this the you want to look at the sweep?
Yeah, I want to look at the sweep that Cole gets here. You know, he does the typical bear hug. So we've been talking about the north-south position, and we have the in side control. I've talked about how north-south is a variation of side control, right? Like it's a variation thereof, but it's itself it's a different position. But there's this like no man's land where you're in between, where you have like this 45-degree angle between north-south and side control. And that's where Steven kind of gets caught up here with Cole, right? So he's got both hands across the body. Cole reaches up over top, and it's just a prime angle for Cole to basically go 45 degrees to his right. And it's just a great torque angle for him to take Steven over here.
Yeah.
So when
Go
you
ahead,
get in
Miguel.
that position, because this is something I've been working on with my guys, and Coach Justin, who's one of my brown belts, he really started pushing this. I'm old school mentality, right? Which is we want to go headed arm control, shoulder on the chin, make them look away. The problem with that is if you get someone who can offset your weight and take you off the center line, meaning you're at the center of your body, center of their body. Once you go off your center line, now you're off balance, right? Now you're going in one direction or the other, which is going to give them the opportunity to counter that with the sweep. So when you have the shoulder pressure, you're good. Second, his arm comes around you. Now you're taking off your center line, because now you can start bringing your head down, which if you watch the sweep, you go over because your head gets pulled down. There's no post, and you're not going over your head. He brings you right to your shoulder. So he brings his elbow to the mat, rolls through. There's no post. Now, rewind that. What we've been working on is reverse crossface, which I think is a very nice way of just saying forearm to the fucking throat.
Yep.
Pull out that top hand. So right there, lose your knee-elbow connection. Bring your leg straight back. So now when your leg, that top leg, that right leg goes straight back, now there's a counterweight. So
Yep.
now you've got an extra 10 to 15 pounds all the way back here that he has to bring over. It's also going to clear up the room for you to bring your right hand out from under the head and go to the far side shoulder and drop your weight on top of him. So now if he does start to roll through, there's no roll. His head's going to hit the mat and it stays cemented there.
Right.
Yeah, couldn't agree. And it opens up the transition into north-south with the Kimura trap right there too, right?
Yes. Yes.
You just roll straight through, the arm is wide open, you slip your head out straight into the into the Kimura.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I love
First thing
that.
you gotta do, anytime someone starts to take you over one way, think of it this way, like, right? You watch like the cartoons where like the car's about to fall off a cliff and everyone's like, no one move. What do? They try to take the weight and move it to the back of the car so the car doesn't fall forward. Same exact concept here. If your head starts to go, bail on the knee-elbow connection, sprawl out. So now all your weight's going towards your back, and just be ready for them to roll one way and understand that his counter to that is going to be to come back and roll through and get for the single. So you're going to sprawl, and as soon as you feel that resistance go away, come right back in heavy with the crossface. So that's where the experience comes in, and really having to familiarize yourself with the feeling of the flow. Now, granted, if someone times it right and you're off a little bit, it's going to fucking happen. But that's the concept behind it. If they want to take you left, I've got to sit right. If they want to go forward, I've got to sit back. Like that's the adjustment of weight. Try that crossface and sprawl out. You negate that move. And like Mike was saying, it puts you in a great position where now, because you have that reverse crossface and you're here, you can come to that north-south, scoop that elbow, and now you're right into submissions.
Yeah.
And yeah, well said, right? If Matt, could you go back to now the sweep that Steven had back on Cole?
Was it before that one or?
And no, it was right after. They did a sweep, then a sweep.
Sorry, I think
So
I'm going
good.
way too far back.
Yeah, you went too far. Sweep, and then he counter swept like right there. So go back.
Oh, okay. Got you here.
So Cole comes over, and then Cole comes right around and immediately tries to almost like cowboy hop right over him, right? And now one of the big problems that he has is that Cole did not have a crossface on the right-hand side, right? He still had that, you know, that north-south strangle. I don't know what you call that, but, you know, like it's basically over the far shoulder instead of having a crossface under the head.
Yeah.
What I would have liked to see from Cole is for him to come back over with the left hand, block the far hip, come under the head and give a strong crossface with the right hand, and then attempt to come into the mount rather than being pretty hasty and not allowing. So now Steven has all of the ability to bridge and push into Cole here.
Yeah, and you could see Cole's arm. Yeah, sorry, you could see Cole's arm is right where you said it was. Like it's on the wrong side of the head, right? It's this side, not the underside.
So
I think with a crossface that would have been good, right? I think he would have had a lot more success with his move into a crossface.
Crossface definitely is going to slow it down, but if you watch when he starts coming to that knee on belly position, is it Cole's on the bottom? Right there.
Cole's on top.
Cole. So who's on the bottom?
Steven.
Right there, Steven recognizes that he's going to give up position, right? So he's recognizing that he needs to start setting himself up to prevent the advancement of Cole's position. He's already got a frame on the head and shoulder right there. So as soon as he starts going to that north-south, coming around to the side, he uses that to take advantage and get that initial frame in. So if you watch when he gets the sweep, see the frame right there? Cole can't shift his weight down because there's already a frame coming across the head and the shoulder. So immediately, even though he's throwing his hips over, his chest is already off center. He's not lined up. He's already going backwards, which is right there, gone. Yeah. Because to throw that leg over from knee on belly, we have to make that leg light. And what do you do to make that leg light? You put all your weight on that back leg. So that back leg is now holding all his weight as he's trying to come up for, I'm pointing so people can see what I'm doing. But that back leg is now coming over for the mount, but his right leg is holding all the weight. So all he's got to do, and see how his shin is off the mat?
Yes.
That means what's essentially happening is his kneecap is holding all the weight. So he's essentially got a ball on the mat, which means when he rolls, he's going to go wherever the weight shifts. If he sprawls out that leg a little bit and at least puts some surface area on the mat, it'll work a little bit as a kickstand or give some resistance. But there's nothing there. He's rounded out. All his weight's going back. It's going right there. And boom. See how his ankle kind of turns underneath it because there's no surface area under him. He's just on a balled up knee. But what would have helped there, 100% the crossface. Also, the second you feel that frame coming on your neck, stay in the knee on belly position.
Yeah.
Because now he could have stayed knee on belly.
Yep.
Stay knee on belly. Take that bottom hand off the hip. Take the left hand on the hip. Start picking the elbow. Now you can start attacking. That hand's going to come down. Now we have our mount.
Gotcha. I mean, one of the strengths, though, I mean, some people shit on knee on belly a little bit, but one of the great things about knee on belly is like, it gives me the perfect opportunity to get rid of those frames. Like if somebody's making, heavy pressure, if I'm trying to advance the mount, I can always get on that, on a knee on belly, pry out, and then start working around the frames, right? To start getting chest to chest the way that I want to.
And there's two ways to do the knee on belly, right? Because 80cc for 80cc points, the knee has to literally come right across the waistline. However, once you get those points, fuck that.
Put it where you want to
turn
put
that
it.
knee up at a 45-degree angle so that your shin's coming across the rib and your knee is sitting on the sternum. So now if someone's got a tight frame, they can frame all they want. I'm not even going to look for the elbow. I'm looking for the back of their head. And as I drive my knee in, I'm pulling that head up.
Yep.
So good luck trying to push me off if you can't fucking breathe.
Yep.
Eventually that hand's going to come to the knee.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal with knee on belly. You want to force the reaction of that hand coming to the knee so that that's what they address. Now those hands come to the knees, and if they're not shrimping and reacting properly, you know, it's shooting fish in a barrel at that point.
Yeah, if I feel like early on, you know, people get used to.
Look at that. That's why we use bidets to wipe our ass. Look at what just happened right there. Could you imagine you go for a sweep and like you get it, but your fingers smell like shit? Look at this. What is happening there? My God.
So glad we caught that.
Level. That is next level. He went for like a gooch pull. That is a different. The old dick twist.
The old dick twist.
I can hear Luke too. Like, good job, guys. There you go. Nope, 2 fingers up the asshole.
Yeah.
Up the asshole. Luke's getting ready. He's all ready. He waits till you guys tire yourselves out. Then he's like, okay, let me show you how it's done. I'm rested. Fucking, that's an old man trick right there.
Steven says his pants were down there in that roll too. They had come down. His pants had started to come off during that. Cole was just trying to help him pull his pants up with his toenails.
Luke is such a little bully. Look at him just clubbing on the head. There he goes. Look at that. Look at him. Look at this. How old is Luke now? Like 45? 50? He's getting
45, 46.
Something like that.
Yeah.
so funny.
He's been married 4 times now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Yeah. Loves being in love. What can you say? He loves it.
He's lost a lot of weight. He's only weighing about 250 or 260 now.
He's lost a lot of weight. He weighs 250. Holy shit.
No, I don't know. I'm fully making that up.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, Jesus, fuck. I'm like, I hope Tom doesn't hear that. He's gonna lose his shit.
No, I mean, I being, you know, the smallest guy on the mat normally, I pull no punches when it comes to calling Luke or any of these guys really fat. After all the body shaming they do to me.
Listen, if done properly and without bullying, body shaming is necessary.
Hey, Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, the 2 comedians, they changed each other's lives, body shaming each other, fat shaming each other.
You need to have somebody you trust and somebody you call a friend just being able to look at you and be like, you're a fat fuck. What are you doing right now?
Dude, Mike right here, he comes into class, breath smelling like marinara, burping up pasta the whole time, getting heartburn.
Dude, I'm Italian. It's a requirement.
Jesus Christ. This guy's got fucking gabagool in his car.
Right next to his unwashed gi, man. It just stinks in there.
He's like, it's great for post-workout, bro. Get your gains, some gabagool. Actually, once I found out I was potentially once I knew I was doing East Coast trials, I hired a nutritionist, or West Coast trials. I got a nutritionist so I could slim down. So today I bought pants for Vegas. It was
Nice.
Like the first time in it was like the first time in like, I don't know, 25 years I had to buy a size 34. I was like, holy shit, is this real life right now?
Congrats, man. Luke with the Katagatame shoulder or arm triangle.
Surprise, surprise.
From mount too. I don't think he didn't dismount into that one.
No, he
just
stayed right there.
put on the nastiness.
Yeah.
I tried to head an arm triangle Luke for 47 minutes one time.
Good. I hope you gave him scoliosis.
It ended with him arm triangling me at the 47.5-minute mark. Tom made us have a no time limit match, and I remember Luke afterwards. He goes, "Bro, my whole plan was just let you do gas, but I didn't think it was gonna take you 45 fucking minutes to gas out." I was like, "Bro, I was so tired, so tired." He likes to say that he put me to sleep. He didn't fucking put me to sleep. I didn't go out. I tapped like a man, and then I just laid there like upset. Afterwards, like Tom came up to us. He goes, "I mean, 47 minutes. Fuck." Match. He bought me a bagel afterwards. Like, I felt like such a dirty little hooker.
Had to carve back up after the 47-minute workout.
47 minutes.
That's fucking, dude, it was brutal. 47 minutes. I wish I could say that was the only time I did it, but it wasn't. Those things are notorious.
Yeah.
Nice pass, Luke. Look at Luke putting his weight. Like, the reason Luke is so big and he can do that is because he transfers his weight so well. Like, watch right before he goes, right? All his weight now is on his shoulder. He pikes up. All his weight's on his upper body. So now his lower body, bang, he's out. Light legs.
Slips the knee.
And what is it, Cole?
Yep.
Cole's skull is carrying all of Luke's weight.
Yep.
I'm surprised he doesn't have fucking brain fluid coming out of it.
It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight to carry.
It's a lot of man piking up on your head and hopping over.
Yeah.
You know. Like to scarf hold position. Oh, this is cool.
Trying to camel clutch him. What an asshole. I didn't see this.
Did you get it?
He's trying.
I did.
I don't know how that move works. I get how people catch it, but for me, I'm just like, man, like all you gotta do is hands to the face so that you can't lift up, and then just turn your hips towards them. It's not gonna feel good and it's not easy, but
yeah,
you can get out.
Dude, Cole or Luke likes it, and Caleb over here, big Caleb by the TV, he likes to hit that too.
Of course they do, because as they're pulling up your head, all their body is just like crushing your ribs.
Yeah, because they're assholes and they're fat.
Yeah. It's a big boy move.
Yeah, no one's ever tapped to me doing it.
What you need to do is, what I need to do is gain 300 pounds so I can hit it effectively. Got you.
Yeah, exactly. So me and I think Luke called out Danny and I to go, and Danny's in comp mode right now.
Beautiful.
So I'm just trying to survive.
It's good. Good recovery on the half guard. Got the underhook right there. Nice. Right there, you got to turn the hips.
Yeah, Danny's so good at. He knows I love that move. I love that sweep, and he's gotten really good at kickstanding out, like right there. And I'm way too tight to him. Like I couldn't get my hips out. I think I was clutching onto his waist too much here.
So same exact concept, right? Go back to that.
Yep.
And this is something that I like to do a lot because I play half guard. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Right here. So right now he's got all his weight on that near side leg, and then eventually transfers to the back side leg so he doesn't get taken over, right? So he's like controlling right there. All you have to do right there, because all the weight is on his left leg. Keep going a little bit. Right there. Perfect. He's got no frame. He's got no shelf. He's got nothing to post on. So if you just take your bottom leg or your trap leg, I think it's your left leg.
Yep.
And instead of just trying to scissor it, kick it straight out and catch the back of his ankle. That's going to force. So he's going to have his left leg, sprawled out. Now his right leg is going to straighten out. So as you kick that out, he straightens that leg. There's no post.
Mm-hmm.
And once you straighten out that leg, now you can escape it out, almost hip heist out, and continue the motion forward and put him right on his ass.
Gotcha. Yeah, good call.
Your hand positioning is great. You have it right around the hip. So all you have to do is find a way to get his weight to go towards that hip. And the way you would do that is kick out that leg and pull him. And then just move your weight over top of him because he has no post. Now, if he had his left knee pointed up and the foot back, I'd say, don't do that. But because it's in so tight right there, man, he's got, if we're looking at a clock right now and his leg is 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock is wide open for a sweep. There's nothing there to stop him from going.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Pummeling in this leg of mine underneath his ankle and straightening it out.
Yeah.
Got it.
There, you see how he's already falling?
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is follow that up.
Yeah.
He had a shot here. I remember watching it. He had a shot here for this for the outside heel hook.
Could have grabbed the knee bar too, like right before that. I kind of lazily heisted up. I felt safe here, just like I had his back arm that you can't see.
Yeah, and your foot's trapped under his body in the mat, so you can't really turn your heel for exposure.
Yeah.
So you're playing it the right way. He needs to be careful because he does have back exposure. What I would have done there, because my leg locks suck, is exactly what Mike was saying. I would have started looking to try to sit onto your chest and just put my weight there, because now I can still attack your legs and I have straight knee bars, or I could just transition out and start getting on top.
Yeah, but what I was thinking here, which I think I end up doing, once I feel like my leg is safe, my outside leg, in this case my left leg that's not trapped, I'm looking to roll this way, bring that leg over, and then enter into my own leg lock attack. Only once I feel safe.
I see.
So you're gonna shift your left leg over and feed it into a cross offshoot position.
That was my intention. Yeah. So I get here, I get set up, and then now I have the outside heel hook on him, which I end up getting. He goes down. I back heel. Once he puts his knees to the ground. Let's see if Luke kind of blocks it here, but I keep his knee position with my knees, like really this knee where it's at is keeping it heavy back heel, and then I already had the heel exposure, so it was just lay the crank on, wait for him to tap.
Yeah, the only thing with those roll throughs is you have to be careful because there were a couple of positions where he could have locked the heel hook on you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, instead of turning over, just take that outside leg, pummel it behind the hook, or pummel it behind his ass, and now you can start pushing on his thigh to start creating knee exposure. So now your knee can come out and you have knee clearance. So if your knee's not trapped under his hip, once your knee's out, you're out.
Right.
So that's always an option, like right there. Like that's typically my go-to because I'm not trying to counter a leg lock to get into another leg lock. I want to get the fuck out. Like I'm a 37-year-old man.
Yeah.
I started learning leg locks after black belt. So it's like, fuck, this is a whole new game. So I'm trying to get out, and that's always been my go-to.
Well, dude, I'm still full of youth and vitality at 34 years old. So.
Yeah.
You know.
Don't worry, it'll go away real quick.
No, it's pretty much gone.
I'll tell you what though, you'll be younger than most people your age. Someone that I went to high school with is one of my students. He just got his purple belt, Steve Worthington, and we're both 37 years old. Like we see the kids we went to high school with, and we're like, dude, what the fuck happened to them? I'm like, they just lived life. They didn't stay active.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, we're young for 37. That's because of jiu-jitsu, man.
I think you said on your podcast Steve just got his purple belt like 2 weeks ago, right, or something. It was on
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know a few of the names sound familiar. Justin, you're a brown belt, all those guys. Dude, I'd love to get up there one of these days, up to Montgomery, and I want to hit like your place. I want to hit Tom's. I want to hit Garrett's, Gary's. Like I'd love to do a little Jersey tour of the DeBlas Association.
Gary's school is only like 15 minutes from my school. It's not far at all, which is actually like pretty convenient. We found a way to make that work because our schools are so close to each other. But it's good. Man, we'd love to have you. I gotta get down there to you guys.
Hell yeah, you do.
He's doing my shit.
Dude, we'll set the camera up. We'll let you and Luke have your grudge match. You can go.
I'm not doing that. Trying to walk tomorrow.
Fine. Then we'll do a 4-minute round only and see how you guys fare.
There you go. It's gonna be me in half guard, Luke not passing, me not sweeping, and very fucking until Luke decides to sit back for an ankle, and I'm like, good job.
Yeah, take it. Go ahead.
Well, there you go.
Luke's blocking everything now. All right, whatever. Next roll. I think Cole and I are just going over some stuff, so you can see the two big boys up here instead.
Yes. Oh, I love how he pulled the ankle over. That was beautiful. Right into a crucifix. Jesus Christ, he did that so effortlessly too. Right to the knee on belly. See how Luke's holding the position? He's not forcing it. So now he's got his hands on the neck, right? So now he's trying to get his head back, and then he'll probably transition to grabbing the back of the head at some point. There it is. See? Touch the head, and right away he tried to get his head back to the mat. And there you go. There's my mount.
Yeah.
He got caught. Got his leg caught back in. So all right though.
I'll say it right now with you guys as witnesses. Caleb is going to just eat knee on belly for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a couple months. Like he will be unfazed by it because just recently I was like, this is all I'm going to do to big guys now is just floating pins so I can maintain my mobility, but they can't have their movement. And Caleb's going to have to deal with it a lot, and he's probably going to get really, really good at countering it.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm going to make him suffer.
You got to think of it this way. I just said this to one of the kids in my kids' class. I'm like, you know what? How they make a sword? I'm like, they take a piece of metal, throw it in fire and coal, then they beat the shit out of it. Then they fold it and put it back in the fire and beat the shit out of it. It's like no part of that sword's life is glamorous or enjoyable until the very end when it's a fucking sword. That's jiu-jitsu.
That's a great metaphor.
Point, you'll be a black belt and you'll be this very dangerous weapon, but along the way, it's just you getting the shit beat out of you.
Or your face sat on by Luke.
Oh my god. Thank God he's got a bidet.
Yeah, right.
You know it's clean. You're like, oh my god. It smells like chamomile.
Got that cucumber water blasting out of it.
little spritz after the shits. I love that position right there. Yeah, I'll give that all day. Just clear that knee at the end because they're so tired. He's not going to keep those legs closed for too long. Beautiful. See how Luke was doing a reverse crossface right there. Yeah, control the shoulder. Control the head. Oh, he was setting that up. What a dirty, dirty boy.
And Caleb just got caught thinking there. Like, you see, he tries to get for the underhook here and looks like, bitch, get off of me.
Luke's style, if I had, like, my style is, I really try to emulate. I read this, I read a book one time that was referred to me, and I read it a couple times actually. It's called Thinking Body, Dancing Mind. And it's all about like how to succeed in sports and business and, you know, mind training and all that stuff. So one of the chapters is all about trying to find an animal you want to emulate. Like, what's an animal that you would want to be in your field of work? And I was like, I really want to be like a shark. Like, I don't want to like kill people right away. I want to stalk, maim, and then take my time. That's kind of how I try to use my game. Like, I'm just heavy, smothering you, chasing you around until you give up. Luke's style really reminds me of like a rattlesnake. Like, he's just kind of chilling there. He's making some noise, so you don't feel comfortable, and then bang, he just snatches something on you out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you didn't feel comfortable, but you didn't expect for whatever was coming to come right now. And he does. Like, he'll sit back and like start playing with your ankles, maybe grapevine your knees, and then while you're like, all right, let me be careful so I don't get caught. Bam, he just grabs you here and just boom, fucking Estima lock. And you're like, shit, like,
dude,
not ready for that.
His Estima lock is, he has gotten me with it like a good number of times, but he just reminds me every once in a while. He's like, hey, idiot, like, you're leaving this here. Let me just crank the shit out of this. And I have to like invert, twist like a break dancer to get out of it. And I'm like, all right, thanks.
Those Estima locks are brutal, man. The problem is the only way to do an Estima lock effectively, like, you can train it in class and like put it on people, but they're most likely going to get out, because the only way to really hit an Estima lock is hard and fast.
Yeah, like Calvin, Tom's student against Placido. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, people got so upset. Like, oh, why would you do that? It's like, that's the only way you're gonna hit that. Like,
yeah, there's no control over the hips, nothing. It has to be a speed tap.
Oh, you just gotta go right into it. You know, he snapped his fucking foot in half. But that's,
we got two other votes for
animals.
Animal spirit, and that's gonna be a hippo.
Yeah, Joe wants to be a hippo.
Badger. So,
I like the hippo. I like the hippo.
Hippo's not a bad choice. They swim fast and they kill a lot of people. So,
bro, a hippo can walk up to 2 miles underwater with one breath.
Jesus.
How crazy is that?
I think they can run like 30 miles an hour too. Like, they're crazy fast.
Wild. Someone told me that the amount of time that it takes a hippo to walk 2 miles underwater is actually longer than what a whale can hold its breath for underwater. Like, whales have to come up every like 10-15 minutes, but a hippo can be down there for 30 minutes walking 2 miles. Think about that. Think about that shit.
I'd rather not.
Or people, like, they're like the most dangerous animal in Africa.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. Jesus, fucking hippo. But they seem so cute and cuddly.
Yeah.
Like, no one's scared of a hippo.
No.
You know, but they'll destroy you. It's actually not terrible.
So we got Steven.
He seems so nice.
Steven the honey badger going against what animal is Danny? What would you say Danny is? What animal is a redneck?
Yeah.
I like a little fucking squirrel with tire marks going on. With the squirrel still alive, it's like,
Danny's a possum.
Yeah, totally a possum. That is actually like a very fitting animal for him.
Oh man, he's gonna beat my ass next time we
close guard.
We roll.
I went to high guard. I like that. Good, right there. I go to the ankles. There we go.
Very dog.
I like how Luke actually walks around and engages when he's coaching the students.
Oh yeah, that's from day one, man. That's how it's always been, and he's gotten the rest of us to do the same. Like, when Mike and I are assisting or leading class or whatever, it's essential.
You don't see that a lot. People don't realize how many coaches don't do that.
Dude, like, there are a lot of things you could say about the
Was that a triangle? Sorry.
I no. I was curious what the hell that was. Finish my thought in a second. Not maybe.
I thought he had the leg.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Oh fuck.
So watch
the leg. So he's got the leg.
So watch Steven on top.
Yeah.
Keeps that leg hooked.
Yeah.
As he goes around the corner, Danny's leg never comes out. Danny locks up a trap triangle here and then reaches down and goes for the knee bar. Nasty.
Jesus.
Nasty. But yeah, go ahead.
Looks like good job. Looks like good job. I don't know how the fuck y'all would have got out of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
It's kind of where you learned it, but whatever. Good front headlock.
I tell my students all the time, it's jiu-jitsu. It's just bend shit the way it's not supposed to bend and squeeze things you're not supposed to squeeze. Most of the time you'll have good results.
Man, when I feel like when I was first learning, you know, you think about like, oh, to do an armbar, you do this. To do a Kimura, you have to do this. And it's like, no, think about the joint you want to attack and how do you take its, like, how do you go beyond its range of motion? Like, or out of its plane of movement, you know?
So we had a great use of north-south there, and then a failure to transition. Controlling the position. Look at that right there. Has the head. He's in a great spot right there. And then when he starts losing it, he doesn't transition to a side control. All these, your jiu-jitsu's got to be fluid. That's the biggest mistake people make, is they try to really hold on to the position. I tell people, like, position submissions are like a bad relationship. Just because you love it and it feels good, you got to know when to let it go and go to something else.
Yeah.
Attack that guillotine.
Yeah, Danny almost got up and out of that. Aiden's says he still has nightmares of, I'm assuming Austin's triangle. I think Austin hit a triangle on him forever ago.
Yeah.
Mostly bones, he calls them.
What's happened? I remember how he dove.
Yeah, I think so. Danny was holding his shoulder after that. I didn't find out what happened there. Steven and Luke. And Cole and Caleb up in the side.
That's a big boy. He put his head down and got folded in half. Holy shit. That was horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Can't do that with big boys. There you go. Sit down.
I don't blame anybody for sitting to guard with Luke. I've tried so many times to like take shots on him, like well set up shots, and like his ability to sprawl and negate my angle just results in me getting folded in half, scrambling to sit to guard, whatever, you know.
Well, the thing with Luke too is he's got very long arms. Like his arms are a lot longer than people realize. So if you go back to when they're standing, he does a really good job of making contact with the shoulders. So even when you try to get underneath him, he can just kind of keep you away so you're not going to get on his legs. And he keeps his hands with you. He can squat down and move so you're not even going to come underneath him.
Yeah.
It's a very good tactic he has. I would start trying some rushes or maybe some arm drags and something like that. Like force him to grab one wrist and try to come across. You know, again, not something I would want to try to do, but that's what I would try for tactically.
Yeah.
He's also heavy. Like, you know, it's heavy. If someone's heavy, they're heavy. It sucks.
Yep.
Sit right to it. Beautiful. He's got a good butterfly.
Yeah, and his body lock passes forever have been so difficult to deal with. Like I have to spend, I can't get his elbows away from his body, so I have to spend a lot of time like forcibly shoving his head to whatever side I assume he's going to, and then he just jumps to the other side.
Yeah, that's what you have to do though. You got to force their head. Well, as you're pushing their head down, you got to start kind of shrimping out.
Yeah, I pummel the shit out of his face too. Like he's no stranger to like smashing me. So I'm like, all right, here's a bicep across your nose. Like, let me just move your head as violently as I can.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
I've done it, and he's not gonna fucking cower from it.
No, he'll just do it to me later.
Yeah, he knows what this game is. I actually had a couple students before they competed were having a hard time in training. Like, like ripping a submission. So what I would do to get them to break that wall is I made 2 students cross-face me until my nose started bleeding. I'll tell them just keep doing it, keep doing it. I was like, harder, harder. And they had to realize that you gotta get past this shit because you're gonna do it tomorrow and it's gonna count.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, they're gonna do it. So, you know, a couple people thought I was fucking nuts for doing it, but whatever.
We have a very new white belt who the other day, I think it was his first class actually. He asked me like, he's like, so how, you know, what do you do in competition when like, you know, you got a submission but like you don't want to break it? I'm like, you break it. Yeah, you just like, everybody knows what they're getting into a competition. Obviously, we don't want to like send somebody to the hospital or put somebody in rehab or this and that. Like but you have to trust that your opponent knows their own limitations and is there testing those and knows when to tap out. And like you respect the tap and that's all you can do.
And they just go to sleep.
Yeah. But then in class, I was like, don't ever let me catch you doing it in class. Like, you know, we're obviously not trying to take away our training partners. So all the time, man, I'll get to heel hooks on people and it's like they don't want to tap. I mean, I'm talking like the purple belts and stuff. Like they won't tap and I'm like, cool, here, I'll let it go. Like it's yours. I got to where I know I could break it. I don't need to break it. Like I'm happy with the setup and getting there. But in competition, you snap it.
How to use that knee and just rotate around the head.
I love Luke's attempt to get the knee out of the way, to get Steven's knee out of the way. He uses a submission attempt. Like he's like, I'm gonna break your ankle. You're gonna straighten out to like boot out of the toe hold. That's gonna get your knee out of the way, and then I could settle in.
Man, I mean, you gotta understand something. Like, there's nothing. A lot of jiu-jitsu is forcing a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I can't physically move you, I have to cause a reaction that's gonna help me and benefit me. So if your leg's in the way, fine, I'll force you to move your leg. What's the best way to do that? I'll attack a toe hold.
Yeah.
And you're gonna move it out the way, and now I can drop my weight on top of you, and that's what Luke did. And that is, you know, that's savvy right there. That's someone who's been doing this for a while and understands like there's multiple ways to get someone to move. One is by force, one is by their own accord.
Yeah. I love passing with the threat of submission. You know, when the loose stuff isn't working, you know, you're too small, so the tight stuff isn't working. It's like, all right, let me throw a good guillotine on you. Let me throw a good Kimura attempt on you, and then pass with that, and not even get the sub necessarily, but just get a good enough reaction to get by. Let's zoom in on you two. I think we have like 2 or 3 more rounds left. Let's fast forward a little bit, see what you guys do.
Good sweep right there.
So yeah, you're looking for. Were you on a shoulder crunch here, Mike?
No, I've been actually. Miguel will remember probably when we were in Costa Rica with Tom. He talks about like pummeling under and like grabbing the far arm like with a double under grip. I'd never seen that before. Instead of doing an over under on like cross side of the body, I scooped that one arm and like bear hug, you know, like and like cuddled it and hugged it, and then tried to elevate from there. I've been actually doing that and having quite a lot of success with it.
You have to make sure that your one hand is like just under the elbow, so that when you lock with your head, you're hyperextending the elbow. That's what's going to cause that reaction. Okay. If your hands are too low and like you're not locked in on the wrist and they can bend, it can cause reaction. You want to get that arm straight out here, so now they're like, oh fuck.
Yep.
And they actually want to get swept so they can land on it and not get their shit wrecked.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've been playing with the different hand positionings and like I said, some success with it.
Yeah, focus on getting that elbow to lock. And once you can get that elbow to lock, trap it with your head and keep the pressure on it. And watch how that scoop's going to open up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Miguel. Now I'm going to get my arm broken.
Well, another thing that they'll start to do is they'll start trying to like swim it in front of your face.
Yes.
And that's perfect, because if they do that, perfect. Punch that motherfucker over your face.
Yep.
Now we can hug the far lat and scoot out to the outside. We have back attacks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anytime you can force their hand to come across your face, it's a beautiful day.
So here on this one, I was going for like a deeper, like a I don't want to call it a deep half guard sweep, but a half guard sweep. And then I was having a hard time getting him all the way over, right? He had based out with his hands. And so I just slipped my leg over top into an ashi. So I dug far underneath the leg here. I readjust and I start getting him to come over here shortly. There. And he was well based out, and I wasn't able to get my hips underneath his enough. So I just scooted him out and then slipped into the ashi position from there.
Go back to that. Go back just a little bit. Keep going, keep going, keep right there. Keep going. Yeah, let it play out. So you're doing a good job right there getting under. Now, right there, same exact concept. If you take your bottom leg and just go back of your knee to the front of his knee and then kick your leg out, that leg sprawls out and now you're on top.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I
Similar
feel
to
like,
what you were saying to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of my game is just kicking the shit out of your leg with my leg. If I can force your leg to sprawl out and go flat to where your hip hits the mat, you're rolling over. And nobody ever thinks about using the back of their leg to kick out. People want to use their feet or they want to pummel. If I can get the back of my knee to make contact to your knee, I can kick the shit out of it. And just do just enough to get it to slide away and forcing that hip to collapse. And now your weight's on top of me, I can take you over.
Same thing you were talking about with Jameson not too long ago.
Same exact thing.
Yep.
Even there, you're still in a good spot. You could have done a lot from there. Like, attacking the leg is always going to be there. Another option, you could have taken that leg, lifted it straight up above your head,
stand up,
and stand up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here I had the ankle locked, and Cole's he's going to be competing, and he's not used to leg locks. I mean, so anyway, he was nervous on which way to turn. So I was coaching. That's why it kind of looks awkward here as of. And it's asking which way to turn.
It's understandable too. Like, this backside position is, it can feel kind of sketchy. And like, I think right here for him, like any leg lock configuration you find yourself in, the golden rule on defense is get your knee free. So right here, I mean, let's assume, you're fully attacking everything right now. Cole's got two free hands. I think his left hand right here should be posting on top of your ankle, and he should be looking to elevate his knee and get it to this side, get it on the hamstring side of your leg, not the quad side of your leg, because then his knee is free and you got nothing, and there's nothing to worry about at that point.
Generally speaking, when I'm in this position, I'm Cole, my right hand is going to the top hip to try and open the hips up, and my left hand is going to go down to the bottom leg to where I can staple that down, and then I'll be able to have a free knee, because really my goal in life here is to try and get the trapped knee basically below my left hamstring, right down on the mat. And then once it's clear, then that means my knee line is clear and I'm safe to work from that position.
You did a good job coaching him through it. Yeah, I remember especially when like the leg locks or especially heel hooks first get set up, we have to immediately start looking to fight the hands and fight the head. Right? If we can fight those grips as we're fighting grips, we can start looking to escape. All right, I'm a big fan of just taking your free foot, putting it on the ass, and pushing it away to clear the knee line.
Yep.
And then you use the hand fighting to climb up and start controlling the head. Now, if you can't sit back and turn your head, you're not finishing the heel hook. And now I can just kind of hold there and use my leg to pummel and start trying to get in or create the angle for myself to get out. So step one, fight the hands, get to the head. Then if all those aren't available, start looking for all the other options, using your foot to clear the knee line, back stepping, rolling through. But right away, we're fighting the hands, fighting the head.
There was the match between Gordon and Cyborg, where Gordon, I think, ended up finishing an inside heel hook.
2017.
The final seconds of that, it was all a grip fight. Like, all the work had been done. The foundation was laid. The leg was entangled, and Cyborg knew if he lost the grip fight, it was done. And as soon as Gordon got the upper hand, Cyborg tapped. He didn't wait till the break. He was like, "Oh, I know it's done here," because he knew that it all came down to that grip fight at the very end.
I think Gordon had locked a Senkaku on him too, so his legs
Yes.
were all trying. He was in like double trouble, and at that time it was still very new. And you can see that as Cyborg is fighting the hands, he has no idea how to get his fucking legs out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, we're not talking about someone who just won a couple Naga tournaments. We're talking about a fucking legend.
Right.
And he's looking down at this like he's fighting hands, but he's looking down like I don't even know how I'm gonna get out once I fight the hands. And as soon as the hands broke, he just looked at Gordon and was like, tap.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a sign of things to come. Yeah.
All right, me and Steven. Oh, dude, he got me in an awesome Kimura here. So, like, I've tried to lead with my head. Yeah, I like try to lead in with my head sometimes to just like pin the chest and establish like a good deep scoop grip on a leg to work like an either double unders or an over under. And he was ready for me this time. Early on, locks up starts digging in on the Kimura here. I should have my hips should have been moving so much faster to get around that other leg, and he completely got the best of me. So right here, he starts heisting his hips up, and I'm like, and I was holding this leg. I was extending this leg here. You can see I'm extending his left leg, and I'm like, all right, he can't lock a triangle up on me, trap triangle or a real one, whatever. I was like, I think I can get out of this, and the whole time he just kept securing the grip on my arm more and more. I was like, oh, I'm going over, and it was immediately in. We were both just like, that was wild.
He locked it up, but you made a couple mistakes with your body positioning.
Yeah.
So keep going. Right there. As soon as he starts locking up on your arm, right, keep going. Right there. Right? Right away. Mission abort. Back step.
Yep.
All right. Don't even keep trying to come under, because if you keep trying to come under, that arm's going to keep separating away from your body. Mm-hmm. So instead of bringing your arm to your body, bring your body to your arm. So now we start clearing it around that way. So that's number one. Right there, I mean, right there you still have a chance if you could have cleared that leg.
Yep.
A really good hook on it.
That's what it was. That sticky hook right here was like, couldn't get around it.
So that's why if it gets that sticky, just bring your left leg. So see how now it's elevated? Now you're having a hard time. But if you come back to where you're sitting, both knees on the mat, now you can just bring right there. Just bring your right knee is blocking his ankle. So now your left leg can step back and block his ankle. Mm-hmm. So now you're clearing to the backside, or technically the front side at that point.
Yeah.
And now he's got the head down. Right there, I would have stayed sitting. See how you got that leg trapped out right away? We got to sprawl that leg out. Mm-hmm. And then you could have kept that grip on the ankle and start looking to pummel in your left leg to clear. As long as he's hooked on your leg, you're in a bad spot because he's got too much control. That's ultimately what ends up happening. That hook was so good and he utilized it so well. Yeah. And again, when you're in the middle of the round, you're making these decisions in fractions of a second. But start just paying attention. When you have that leg hooked and they're attacking Kimura, get that fucking hook off.
Yeah. And I got so myopic on this ankle grip here that really I'm blocking my own mobility of my left leg. Like,
yes,
I can't bail on it because I was like, oh, well, if I keep this leg, he can't do anything, which was obviously wrong. But if I keep that leg, I couldn't do anything either. So it was just like a false sense of security in keeping that grip. And you could see I'm like, too late. Now I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, he did everything textbook.
Yeah, that was great.
We could sit here and talk about all the shit we could have done, but sometimes if they do perfectly and you don't make the right adjustments, it's a wrap.
Yeah. And then also keep in mind, I don't know how many rounds in. I think we're like 11 or maybe 12 rounds in at this point of these stupid 4-minute rounds that we're doing.
Fast, man.
Fast. I mean, fortunately, I had a few breaks just going over shit with some of the students, but it wears on you, man.
Nah, I like that. I like how you try to step on his leg. I love it. Anytime you can step on someone, I take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know those, like the Rotolo's first instructional, I think, was about that leg stepping that they do.
It works, man.
I can't say I
Negation of
utilize it too
movement.
much, but when I see it, I definitely go to it. So here again, just trying to work like a bit of an over-under pass, trying to suck his knee past me. And then I forget that Steven has these stupid triangle variations that he likes to try. But I just switched to a double under. I think I had both arms out at that point. Stack him on his shoulders to try to keep him from weighing heavily on me. And then look to cut my angle.
There you go. Shift
Around into cross ashi.
You gotta understand that when you have that underhook, you're trying to go for an over-under pass. In that one and with the last one too, like you get your underhook, right? But you're forcing your movement to one side. Attack one way, come back the other way to open up the other way. Mm-hmm. So start adding more lateral movement.
Yeah.
Because you're continuing to go to your left, go to your left, go to your left, go to your left. Man, go left, go right, go left, go right. And worst case scenario, keep this hook here and take your other knee to the other knee and just stretch his fucking groin out. And watch how quickly he'll throw that leg over and give up his back.
Fair. No, that's a great point.
Like right there, see how you sat for the knee bar? Great. Or you could just put your knee across the other thigh and fucking stretch out his groin. Let's see how bad he really wants it. Right there. Imagine if you turn that knee to your right instead of to the left. Mm-hmm. That's a shit position right there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good
Absolutely.
point. Yeah.
A little split-second decision.
That's all it is, but you have to know that decision is available.
Yeah.
Now you do. Oh,
and then
attack. Lateral movements, devastating. Because everyone can defend one way, force them to defend the other way, and then come back to the original way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and look at you look at some of the best boxers in history, right? Like, they're not standing in front of each other, punching each other. They're constantly creating angles. Same with wrestlers. It's universal to all combat sports. This was just an inside heel hook variation using that like Mikey Musumeci style. Well, kind of, sort of. I grabbed the toe line, but didn't have the heel. But could still put some pressure.
Yeah, he's doing a good job trying to push away to clear the knee line. It's just,
Yeah, I was back heeling pretty hard at that point. I had enough of a torque on his knee.
Look, we've seen like 20 knee bars, 20 leg attacks, and everyone's walking. It's not as dangerous as people thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking tap.
Yeah, and I'm also, I'm not throwing my hips with everything I have into the side of his knee when I do them. I know what I got. We'll let it play out.
That's a great way to limit your growth, is hurting your training partners. Because if you don't have training partners, how are you going to get better?
100%.
Yeah, Luke gives that pep talk at the end of class at least once a month, I feel like. Especially with new students coming in, it's essential.
You have to, man.
And then I think this is our last round for the evening. Oh, me and Caleb. So this is just I don't know.
Boy.
all of our viewers have heard me talk about this before, but Miguel, I'm curious what you think about this. But like the choice you make to play bottom and playing top, like I know Danaher talks about the gentleman's agreement, like, oh, all right, I'll play bottom, you can play top position, and I've had to completely like rip out the wiring of that in my head, especially with some of these bigger guys, like working with Luke, working with Caleb, to refuse to take bottom position here. So like all of my roles with Caleb lately have been me just floating pins, these neon bellies, a lot of movement, just to avoid being smashed for an entire round, because I can keep my arm safe, I can keep my leg safe, but it's difficult to move somebody that big.
I mean, I think the way you're playing is the right way. Personally, anytime I go with anyone who's smaller than me, I always take the bottom. It's going to make me better. I mean, I also take the bottom. I just always take the bottom. I never take the top. I actually get very I actually get very offended if someone like sits bottom. Because I'm like, oh, like you think I suck and I can't pass your fucking guard? Like, what kind of a moron do you think I am? And I get very angry.
You got to sweep them to bottom, man.
Yeah, it's like, fuck that, dude. Like, I play bottom. But, but he's right. John talked about, the gentleman's agreement. But, for me, I just feel like, especially like starting from the feet, I've just seen so many injuries happen when people wrestle.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, start. So what we do it here is we start a lot of sitting guard. So you're sitting and someone's standing and let's go. And, we rotate. So
Sure.
the way we do our class structure is quick warm up, nothing too long. The days of like 20-minute warm-ups are fucking done. Like, we don't need that shit.
So dumb. I know how to get warm.
Go through the techniques real quick. 3 to 4 techniques. And then whatever the techniques were, we do 2.5 minutes live on top, 2.5 minutes live on bottom, just from that position, working on those techniques. So now you get to put it in, and then we'll either end class with like, 2 5-minute rounds of live rounds, or a 10-minute round of pass protect. And then we go right into our live rounds right afterwards. So it's a great way to have your warm-up, your instruction, your application of the information that you just learned, live round for everyone, because not everyone stays to roll live, and then you have your live training right afterwards. So even if you don't train live, you're still getting live training. Yeah,
no, that's a solid approach. We're pretty similar, like where we cover a few techniques, we drill them out, everybody gets the feel of it, and then kind of depending on who's teaching, we'll do some sort of either king of the hill, pass, sweep, submit, relative to whatever position we're working on, with an emphasis on practicing the moves that we did in class. And it's
so that's
go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's something that Ben Askren talks about, where he says the biggest problem with jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu guys don't drill.
Yeah.
And so now you're in a match and you're in a position that you've maybe done once, but you've never drilled it. So how do you know what to do there? As opposed to, if I make you do a 2.5 minute round of just that position, how many reps are you getting? How many rounds are you getting? Drill. And drilling doesn't mean just going through the motions nice and slow. Like, no, you can fucking drill hard.
Yeah.
Go back to that.
Go to the pace of your partner.
Love that right there.
So this is a case of like I was talking about earlier, using the threat of submission to pass, because Caleb has managed to capture my leg, so I'm working half guard, but I'm not gonna like put all my weight over top of him because he's gonna roll me if I do. At one point I ended up getting a figure 4 grip on his arm and was like, all right, let me commit to this. I've pummeled my leg free at this point, but now I'm like, all right, the grip is there, I may as well try to finish this.
100%.
So I start to set things up. I'm working. I mean, you guys have heard me talk endlessly about the finishing mechanics of the Kimura. So I'm not going to focus on my arms. Focus on what I'm doing with my legs here. I'm walking like step by step. We'll go all the way back to where I'm coming off of his body, step by step, like the hands of a clock, going up around his head to where I can step over his head.
Yes.
And now I can use. So I'm not even right where I want to be yet. His head is still in the way. You'll see me lay him back down, step over, and then now he's done. He's absolutely done. I can use my legs to help finish this move. So, my 2 arms and my body, which is barely connected to the ground, isn't going to finish this. But once I get a good connection with my leg, my 2 arms can do what they need to do, and then I could utilize the power of my legs to elevate his elbow and get that break.
And that's exactly how it should be done. It's amazing how you'll see, even at the highest level, people forget to step over the head because it negates that movement. They now can't come back. What I would even recommend doing there is just, and this is me just nitpicking, start bringing your heel almost like you're curling it in.
Yep.
So now he can't bring that head back. And if he does, you're underneath his shoulders, which is going to limit his lungs from expanding. So you constrict his lungs so he can't breathe as well. When he falls over it. So now you're sitting on his chest, your calf and leg are squeezing on the back of him, and it's brutal while you're attacking a Kimura.
Absolutely.
Put in the Brazilian accent on it, definitely.
Kimura. Porra.
Kimura. Carai, man.
Cool, man. So that wraps up the footage, man. That's what we do here.
That's
Miguel,
awesome footage, man.
Miguel, I can't thank you enough, dude. Like, this was really rad. Thanks for
having me,
man. Definitely gonna employ it. So thank you.
Hey, use it all up, and I'm always available. So if you guys ever need anything or have a question, hit me up on the DMs.
Yeah, of course, man.
I love what you guys are doing down there. I love this whole concept of you guys going over your rounds and breaking things down and really making yourself, vulnerable by showing your games and showing, because listen, not every round looks pretty.
Yeah.
All right. Sometimes they're bad rounds and you don't want to look at them, but those are the ones you really have to look at and see what you're doing wrong and putting yourself out there. And you guys have 2 incredible head instructors, and you're doing great things with that school over there. And I'm proud and honored to have fly the same flag as you guys with the Atomic Blast Association. So anytime you're up here, my doors are always open. And tell Luke to get my ass down there so I can do a seminar for sure.
Hell yeah, man. We're looking forward to it. We'll make that happen.
Thank you.
Everybody in the chat, thanks. Hope you guys got something out of it. We'll wrap it up here. Go listen to Professor Miguel Benitez on the Tapping In podcast. Thanks a lot, Steven. Thanks a lot, James. Anything else you want to promote? ADCC, come see you there, all that good shit.
That's pretty much it. Tapping In at Montgomery BJJ on Instagram, at Prof_Miguel BJJ. And if you're looking for some good training gear, Contenders underwear, promo code Tapping In 20, save 20%. Go buy some underwear and some t-shirts.
Hell yeah, man. Cool.
That's all I got.
Well, bro, we will see you in a week. I'm sure we'll be crossing paths in Vegas. So
I'll be on mat 3.
Excellent.
Second best seats in the house.
Looking
all right, guys,
forward to it, bro.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take it easy.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
Have a good night.
You.